Hello, everyone. I'm San, and you're listening to Sunman Podcast. We're back again with a new podcast episode, and this is episode 68. 68 is often considered a very lucky number. Our elders often say it means prosperity and growth. And I, San, truly hope that we can sow many good seeds together to achieve such prosperity and growth in the coming time. Today's topic that I want to share with you all is, are you not good enough, or have you just not tried your best? This is probably a question I've asked myself countless times during periods when I doubted my own abilities. And actually, the more challenges we face on our journey, the more often we find ourselves repeating these very questions. Am I truly lacking in capability? Why do I keep trying without any results? Should I even continue to try? These are the things I really want to share with you all. Recently, I received my first semester results, and all of my subjects achieved distinction. I think grading systems vary in different countries, but here in the UK, distinction means a score from 70 to 100, which is the highest possible grade, an outstanding or exceptional achievement. Honestly, before coming here, I just hoped to get good grades, meaning okay scores. But after a period of diligent effort, I finally achieved a goal that once felt incredibly difficult to reach. And through this story, I have quite a lot to share with you. Returning to the story of effort and self-doubt, I feel like it's never a pleasant experience at all. It's like you want that goal, but it feels distant, you feel inadequate, and you wonder, what if I keep trying and it all amounts to nothing? Going back to when San decided to study abroad, the thing I worried about most was academics, and I shared this with all my friends. With my generally cheerful personality, I wasn't shy about meeting new people, and I had already sorted out my finances, so that wasn't a concern. It was purely the studying that worried me, because San graduated in 2017, so it had been 6 or 7 years since I'd been back to school. Regarding my academic record in primary and middle school, I was always an excellent student. In high school, I was only an advanced student. My class was full of monsters top students. My class was a specialized one, taking students with the highest scores, and from then on I felt, oh, I'm just average. And then in university, San also graduated with only a fair degree. And I don't consider myself someone who loves to study, you guys. I love learning about everything, but classroom learning all the textbooks, philosophy, econometrics, advanced math, and everything else under the sun, I didn't think I was interested in it. And usually, things I'm not interested in, I can't learn. I always thought that. So, okay, this time I'm doing my master's. It's a new experience. But I wondered if I could keep up with my peers, if I could understand what the professors were teaching, if I could pass the courses, or if I'd end up wasting money repeating them. Oh my goodness, I was terrified. To be doing a master's and fail a course, that would be so scary and embarrassing. But honestly, right now, I really love studying, everyone. After completing half a semester of my master's, San is already planning to continue studying, you guys. That means possibly pursuing another master's degree, studying a different field, or even going for a PhD. In some miraculous way, from someone who feared and hated studying, I've become a completely different person. Currently, I've always been someone who values practicality and believes that what happens in reality is more current, more timely, and clearer right before our eyes, and that there's no education quite like life itself. But upon returning to school, I realized that there are many things we need to learn in their very essence, at their core. And sometimes, researching at that fundamental level explains so many things in life that I previously questioned without finding answers. And another part of going to school is to learn how to learn how to learn anything, not just to passively absorb knowledge. It's truly fascinating, everyone, and it has changed me so much. Even though I've only been in the UK for 5 or 6 months, I am incredibly grateful for this journey. So, how did I get through that period to achieve distinctions in all my subjects? Everything started with an uncomfortable feeling stemming from pressure and self-doubt. And because I underestimated myself when it came to academics, I paid more attention to it, I was more cautious. When I first started attending classes, there were times I genuinely couldn't understand what the professor was saying. I just couldn't hear or comprehend anything. But later, I realized something very important. It wasn't that I couldn't hear, it was that I hadn't read about the topics the professor was teaching. I hadn't prepared. If we don't prepare at home before coming to class, even if we understand the English the professor is speaking, we still won't grasp what they're teaching. And that's why students preparing before coming to class is an incredibly huge advantage. We do everything in one go. We don't wait until the deadline to pull out assignments. We're ready for them from the very beginning. And precisely because I was in class, unable to understand, unable to comprehend, not knowing what I was doing, and then feeling stuck, I realized that preparing beforehand helped me immensely. So, I started by doing everything well, gradually and with preparation. Now, before each class, I spend at least 4 to 5 hours reading materials. There are quite a few mandatory readings, and then there are many extended readings that aren't strictly required, but I still read them. Afterward, I always write down all the questions I want to ask the professors and the parts I don't understand. And going far beyond just getting good grades on assignments, I started thinking that every time I go to school, it's an opportunity to ask questions, an opportunity to learn something new. So, naturally, my mindset was no longer confined to assignments or achieving high scores in school. At this point, my mindset focused on how to develop myself in the best possible way, how to expand my knowledge as much as possible, and how to discover the best version of myself without necessarily limiting it within any boundaries. For example, if you only want to pass an assignment, meaning just 50 out of 100, then your drive to explore is very low, very half-hearted. You might not even bother attending classes, just preparing casually near the end of the semester, using AI, asking for answers, and so on. If you set a higher goal, like a distinction, the highest grade, you'll be more attentive, diligent, and focused on the professor's briefs, carefully reading what they expect. But in the case where you go beyond even that, beyond distinction, you want to learn from your professors, you want to understand their perspectives on life, you want to see how you can apply this assignment to your life, to your own thoughts, or to the field you're studying, the world you're living in. Only then do you realize, wow, I'm so small, and I need to absorb so much more, and I need to be prepared. Right now, I've completely abandoned the thought of doubting myself, you guys. I no longer doubt. Instead, I affirm that I'm still very small, I'm nobody. However, I have the opportunity to study, and that's what I truly cherish. Instead of comparing myself, wondering, am I good enough for a distinction? Do I have strong enough language skills, reasoning abilities, or analytical skills for assignments to achieve that grade? I no longer think that way, everyone. Instead, I think, how can I bring out the best version of myself? In fact, I no longer stop at just being average because, as I mentioned, in high school and university, my grades were only fair. And if, when pursuing my master's, I had only thought, oh, I'll just try to get a fair grade, I don't know if I'm capable of even that, then we would just stop there. Instead, I push past all goals. That means now, I disregard the goals and just try my absolute best to see how far I can go, to see what's possible. Why limit myself? When we doubt our abilities, that's also when we're limiting our own growth. This is a very important thing I realized during my master's studies. It's truly the case. And precisely by thinking, oh, because I'm just an average student, I won't be able to develop any further. That's the thought process that limits us. So, right now, if you're doubting yourself, don't doubt anymore. Just accept it, everyone. Just accept that, okay, my current level might be this, but let's see with this next task, I'll just try my absolute best. Who knows? You have to try your hardest first to know the result. We shouldn't rush to put pressure on ourselves or prematurely assign ourselves to a certain position or level, especially when your abilities could go much further. And San's story is the proof. I thought to myself, all right, I'll just try my absolute best and see what happens. I prepared an outline, formulated ideas, asked professors for feedback on my assignments, and also consulted my friends. I asked many different people about their experiences in research and completing assignments during their master's studies, and I learned so much from them. But if my mindset from the very beginning was just to pass the exam, then of course, I wouldn't have had the need or the desire to learn more. We limit ourselves when we keep doubting ourselves, everyone. And when I stepped into a completely new environment, it was also a great opportunity to redefine and rearrange my position. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you were only in the top 20 in your old class, you'll remain in the top 20 in another class. Nor does it mean that if you were at the bottom of your class, you'll always be at the bottom in a new environment. That's not how it works. You could be at the bottom of your old class, but in a new class, you could absolutely climb to the top 5, top 10, or even top 1. That's completely normal. It's within your capabilities. Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt yourself. The important thing is to give yourself the chance to break free from all the preconceived notions you hold about yourself. That's the hardest part. You are absolutely capable, I'm certain of it. Nothing is impossible. Everything in this life is 99% effort and 1% luck, but luck doesn't come to those who do nothing, my friends. The more diligent you are, the more you do, the more you try, the more luck and opportunities will come your way. Let's not blame ourselves for not being good enough. Blame yourself if you haven't tried your absolute best. It's as simple as that, everyone. If you can apply this principle to your life, especially when setting goals, you will achieve far greater things than you currently think you're capable of. You are better than you think you are, truly. It's because of our self-doubt that we limit ourselves so much, and that's why sometimes those around us see more potential in you than you see in yourself. Don't ever think you lack ability just because you haven't achieved a certain goal, because one day, the goals you achieve might be far greater than anything you previously imagined. You know, San truly hopes that after this podcast, we should all get to work, and our mission in life is to discover and bring out the best in ourselves, our best abilities. Bring them out, everyone, by giving your absolute best in everything you do in your daily work, in your studies. Just bring out the best version of yourself, even when people don't ask you to. Just try your absolute best. In your job, for instance, you know you're doing quite okay, satisfactory, just meeting the company's requirements, but try to do the very best you can. Try to dedicate yourself to a project, work diligently, research deeply, and do it to the best of your ability. Who knows? Half a year later, you might be promoted to a much higher position because people recognized your capabilities. If you want people to see your abilities, first, you must see your own abilities. You have to demonstrate them for others to see. But if you don't try your best, if you just stop at being okay or average, then our lives will be just that, everyone. They'll remain okay and average. And of course, if you're content with that, there's no problem. But San simply thinks that in this life, we will eventually die. We only have a few years of youth before we grow old and our lives end. So, while we are young, while we still crave and want to do so many things, have so many mountains to climb, so many feelings to experience in life, then why not? Why not? When you stand in a position where you have so many things, and I don't just mean material possessions, but a wealth of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding about life, throughout a process where you've strived to discover yourself and comprehend so much about life. That is an incredibly wonderful feeling that we should all strive to reach, everyone. And even if you used to hate university and master's studies, feeling that it was all meaningless pieces of paper, and some people even hired others to do their assignments to pass and get high grades in their masters, it's only in real life that you realize something very important, that there are many things you understand, you don't resent them, but you understand them. You understand life, and this life isn't fair, everyone. Don't expect everything to be fair. Even laws are built by the powerful, the economy is controlled by the wealthy, and sometimes those who don't study still get high grades. But understanding life, that's the most wonderful feeling, instead of just sitting there complaining and wondering, why is life so unfair? Yet, when we strive and work harder, when we have many things in our hands, power, financial stability, knowledge, you will have greater freedom. Freedom of thought, freedom of action, freedom to go to any position in life if you wish. It's just that once you understand, you'll know, sometimes I should just stand here. Sometimes I don't need to go all the way up there, I'll stand here and control myself. But we'll only understand that when we step through and discover what we're truly doing. San truly hopes that these things aren't too difficult to understand. Although San wished to share them in a very simple way, San knows that whether life is simple or complex is merely a matter of how we think. But to truly see simplicity, we must first deeply understand complexity. And to know our own capabilities, we must strive with all our might to discover what we're truly capable of. You are smarter than you think, you are greater than you think, you can do more wonderful things than you imagine. And don't wait for others to believe it because you yourself aren't even believing in yourself. What you need to do is this. San hopes that we will put our heart and mind into everything we do and always remember one question: is this the best I can do? Always remember that question, everyone. In work, in friendship, in love, always remember, is this the best I can do? Have I tried my absolute best? Thank you all so much. San truly hopes that this podcast has offered some new thoughts or perspectives for you. See you in the next podcast episodes. Goodbye and good night.